What's up everybody, welcome back to another edition of Nerds on the Block. My name's Tim, and in this video we're going to be talking about Loki and why it might be Marvel's best show so far. Before we get started here, if you like our content, be sure to hit that red button down below and subscribe to Nerds on the Block and hit that notification bell to be notified on all future content from the nerds. Want to jump right into this. I couldn't believe the approach that they did with Loki. Like, I loved every minute of this episode. Walking into this series, this was arguably my most anticipated show to come out of Marvel for the entire calendar year. And it fulfilled every wish, promise, anything that I wanted out of this show already in the first episode, which is a good sign. And before I get right into my real thoughts, I just want to make sure that you are aware that this is a spoiler-free impression/review video on it. It won't be too long, but I want to get right into the tone. So, tone-wise, like, you feel like this is a Marvel film. Like, I got that that feeling that it was just grandiose, like it was bigger than the other two shows that we got prior, which was WandaVision and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The WandaVision being like this isolated incident shrouded in mystery, whereas Falcon and the Winter Soldier was this stealth espionage, political thriller, which was fun. Both of them are good in their own right. I preferred WandaVision over The Falcon and Winter Soldier series, but then Loki comes out in the first episode and is like, this is gonna feel like a movie. And the threads that you're getting throughout this episode too, like the tonality when it comes to humor is all there. Like anything that you would expect from a Marvel film was in this first episode of Loki, which I loved. Like, I couldn't believe I was watching a TV show. I was expecting the runtime to go for another 2 hours. Like that's how I felt watching this thing, which was crazy. From a story perspective, like you're hot off the heels of the events of Avengers Endgame, where Loki was last seen, and then you're kind of plopped in where he is now. So you're welcome to a new threat that Loki has to go up against, which is the Time Variant Authority, created by the Timekeepers. So this threat is not to be trifled with, that's for damn sure. Like, Loki is humbled pretty quickly in the first few moments of the episode. You'll see that for yourself, and you're gonna see Loki's path throughout this episode. And there's a really deep dive into the ethos of the character of Loki, which is good. Like, he's arguably the most loved character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and as an antagonist, he really does pilot this episode. Big kudos to the director Kate Herron and the writer Michael Waldron. Like, they really did such a careful job of making sure that you're getting the character that you know and love as Loki. But if you've known after the events of Avengers Endgame that Loki didn't go through the events that we saw throughout the other MCU films. So seeing that character and him being a little bit younger and less experienced, what does this version of Loki, does he make the same mistakes? Does he make the same decisions? And you'll see that in this episode, and the character growing and learning from a threat that he never thought he would ever face. Another thing that was really nice to see was the other references to the other MCU films, and just goes to show you how far the character of Loki has gone, and where the character is now is going to be really fun to see, how he unravels this mystery of what do I do next. He's finding himself as a character and being where are my next steps? Because Loki made leaps in Thor Ragnarok. And then you saw in the event of Infinity War, if you watch both films, spoilers, if you haven't seen those, I don't know what the hell you're doing. But those two films were big turning points for the character. And now coming back here, it's after the events of Avengers, just the first Avengers, and seeing where Loki just his first attempt at, world domination, or, because he is the god of mischief, where does that take him? And this episode starts to itch that it starts to raise your eyebrows on what questions we need to ask as fans and to see where Loki is going. So that was a big takeaway for me. So that is really cool in a nutshell. Next thing I want to talk about is just the character. So Owen Wilson is another character that you're going to be introduced to in this episode, and he kills it. He knocks it right out of the park. Like, his dynamic with Tom Hiddleston and him on screen was must-see TV. Like, that was like such a good tandem in one room. Like, they really bounce off each other very well in this first episode. You're going to see the Time Variant Authority and what their role is in this series, and what it gives you a bigger scope of what Marvel has entailed for this phase of their shows, their movies, and Loki's like the first like imprint on that, which I'm all for world building, and that's what this first episode does. And lastly, just my closing thoughts. I just want to mention that there's only going to be 6 episodes of Loki, and like, I know it's going to be on the longer half of the episodes. Like, WandaVision had 30-minute episodes that were comprised of a 9-episode season, and The Falcon and Winter Soldier opted for the longer episodes but shorter season at 6, and Loki is going to carry that as well. So only 6 episodes in this season, so only 5 more to go, and it's right off to a hot start. And I believe this is Marvel's best show, just because of the world building aspect, the characters, the attention to detail to everything that is going on, and the scope of where this universe is heading. Loki nails all of that out of the park, even in just the first episode. And another big factor that I love about this episode is, like, when it comes to that deeper dive of Loki's character, you really do feel for him. Like, the writing in this episode is magnificent, because everything that they throw at the character, you, even as a character, he's an antagonist, you're really gonna like what they bring up. You're gonna like how he takes in that information, and you're gonna walk away from this episode being like, damn, like, they really knocked Loki out of the park. Like, I think this is Marvel's best TV show by far, and it's only 1 episode in, and I'm excited to see where the rest of this show takes us on this narrative journey that Marvel has bestowed us on Disney Plus. But I really do think this is a show that you really need to watch and keep an eye out for. If you have a Disney Plus subscription, it'll be dropping every Wednesday going forward for the foreseeable future until it concludes. And those were my impressions of the first episode of Loki. So be sure to check that out. If you already saw the first episode, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought about the first episode. And like, share this video, and subscribe to Nerds on the Block if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Yo, you still here, dog? Yo, subscribe to the channel, bro. Make sure you hit that notification bell to stay locked on all of our content when it drops.
What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah, bro.
But walk these up.
Seriously, like, it's so easy, bro. Just click the button, bro.